Hi, I'm Catherine with Free Tours by Foot, and today I'm at LaGuardia Airport. Today in this video I'm going to be going over some of the various transportation options to get from LaGuardia Airport into Manhattan so that we can hopefully help you choose the best option for your trip. Some of the options we're going to be going over are taking a city bus and transferring to a subway, taking a taxi or an app-based ride service, taking a shared airport shuttle. So hopefully at the end of this video you will have a better idea of what the very best option is for you. But before we get started, just to situate us a little bit, LaGuardia Airport is in the borough of Queens. It is geographically the closest airport to Manhattan, only about 8 miles or 13 kilometers away. This is one of 3 major airports that serve the New York area. The others are JFK and Newark. So keep an eye out. We will have videos detailing transportation options from all 3 of the airports in this area. But today, we're talking about LaGuardia. By far the cheapest option to get from LaGuardia Airport into Manhattan is to take public transit. And so in order to do this, in most cases it will involve taking both a bus and a subway. There are a couple of different options, so I'll detail both of them so you can decide which is best for you. It really depends on where your final destination is. But first thing you will want to do is get a Metro card. If you are unsure of how to get a Metro card or which Metro card is the right option for your visit, make sure you check out our video that we have on the subject. It breaks it all down and it'll help make that a little bit easier for you. There are Metro card machines just outside of baggage claim, so you don't have to go very far in order to get a Metro card. We also have a detailed blog post explaining everything you need to know about buying a Metro card, as well as another post with tips on how to navigate yourself through the subway system. So the first option I'm going to talk about is the Q70 bus. The Q70 bus leaves from both terminals B and C at LaGuardia Airport. But if that's not the terminal you're coming into, no worries, there is a shuttle bus that goes to all of the various terminals at LaGuardia Airport, so you will be able to catch that shuttle and get over to Terminal B or C. So that Q70 bus will take you right to the Roosevelt Avenue station. The Roosevelt Avenue station, the subway entrance is just across the street. Very, very easy, you will not get lost. And in that station, you can link to the E, the F, the M, the R, and the 7 train, all of which will get you into Manhattan, into Midtown Manhattan, in fact, if that's where you're trying to go. And all of those various lines will also stop at certain points and link up with other lines. So if that's not the exact line that you need, chances are good you can catch one that will link to the line that you do need. The biggest pro of this is the cost. Like I said, this is by far the cheapest option. In fact, it is a free transfer from the Q70 onto the subway. So it will cost you the cost of 1 Metro card swipe. So very, very inexpensive. The major con, I would say, is the time that it takes. Depending on where you're trying to go, it can take 60 to 75 minutes to reach Midtown Manhattan using this option. And the other thing you would want to think about is how much luggage you have. If you have a lot of luggage, navigating, getting on and off the bus and then transferring to the subway and doing the stairs and then getting on the subway might be a little bit much. But if you have traveled light and your main concern is cost, this is a great option for you. One thing to mention is that you will have an elevator at the subway station when you get off the bus and at any station where subway line transfers take place. Whether or not you have an elevator at the subway station you end up at will depend on that station. Those with elevators will have a wheelchair icon attached to it. Not all stations have elevators, but most stations are just a flight or 2 below street level. The other bus option is the M60 Bus. Same deal, just follow the signs for public transportation when you leave baggage claim and look for the sign for the M60 Bus. This is what I recommend if you're staying in the northern part of Manhattan, if you're staying in Harlem, in Washington Heights, in Inwood, or the Upper West Side, possibly even the Upper East Side, depending on where exactly you're trying to go. The M60 bus will take you into Manhattan via 125th Street. And as you go along 125th Street, there are 3 different subway lines you can connect to on that ride. You can connect to the 4, 5, 6 at Lexington, you can connect to the 2 and 3 train, and you can connect to the A, C, D, and B trains. So there are a lot of options, and if you are staying in that part of the city, this might be the right option for you. But as far as how to do it, it works very, very similarly to taking the Q70. You'll get your Metro card, you'll follow the signs, you'll hop on the M60. Another option you have for transportation is to take a shared airport shuttle service from LaGuardia into Manhattan. So this has some of the same door-to-door benefit as taking a taxi. You will go right from LaGuardia Airport to wherever you're staying, with the benefit of it being significantly cheaper than taking a taxi to most parts of Manhattan from LaGuardia Airport. The major downside is, of course, this is a shared ride. You could have up to 11 people in your ride, and depending on what order they are getting dropped off in, you might be the very last person to be dropped off. So it could be a very long time before you are dropped off at your final destination. And it also really depends on how many people you're traveling with. If you have 3 or more people in your group, the cost per person means that it probably makes more sense for your group to just get in a taxi and have that direct door-to-door service. But if you are traveling solo, or if you are a couple that have an enormous amount of luggage, you're worried about navigating public transit, and you really, really are trying to be budget conscious and don't want to spend the money on a taxi, this could be a good option for you. One transportation option you have is taking a yellow New York City taxi right from LaGuardia Airport directly to the door of wherever you're staying for your trip. This is by far the simplest transportation option that you have. All you will do is follow the signs from baggage claim with the arrows pointing towards the taxi. You will go to the taxi stand, line up, and when you get to the front of the line, you will tell the taxi dispatch agent where you are going. They will hand you a slip of paper, you'll get in the cab, and then you are done. So the biggest pro of this is the simplicity. If you are absolutely exhausted, if you have a lot of luggage that you're worried about how you're going to haul on public transit, this is by far the simplest and probably most convenient option that you have. The major con of this option is the price. This is also the most expensive option that you have coming from LaGuardia. Unlike JFK, where there is a flat metered fee to get from the airport into Manhattan, this is just on a regular metered fare. And so for that reason, I can't really give you a great, really accurate estimate of how much a taxi would cost. That really all depends on your final destination and whether or not you run into any traffic. The meter does keep running while you're in traffic if you are running from LaGuardia into Manhattan. Check out our blog post on how to take a New York City taxi, where you will find out how you can estimate the cost of a taxi ride. This post also provides helpful tips on how to hail a taxi, what your rights are as a passenger, and the pros and cons of a taxi versus the subway or other rideshare options. A link to this post is in the description. But if you are somebody that is mostly worried about convenience, maybe you have a lot of luggage, maybe you're going to have been traveling for a long time, maybe your hotel or your Airbnb is nowhere close to a public transit station, this might be the best option for you. If you want that convenient direct door-to-door service from LaGuardia Airport to wherever you're staying, in addition to the yellow taxis and going to the taxi stand, you also have the option of catching a ride with an app-based ride service such as Uber or Lyft, either by doing that with a private car or with a shared ride, a pool car. So if you do that, you will need to hail a ride very much the same way you would taking an Uber or a Lyft anywhere else in the world. The major difference at LaGuardia is there are specific places where those drivers can pick you up. So you'll need to follow the signs from baggage claim, very similar to if you were taking a taxi, and you will go to the designated pickup points for car services for app-based rides. I'm actually standing in front of one right now, so you can see exactly what it looks like. This will also help you communicate with your driver. You will not only be able to tell them what terminal you are at, but which numbered column you are at. So I am Terminal C right now at column 18. And so that will help avoid any confusion with your pickup. So the big benefit of doing something like Uber or Lyft as opposed to a metered taxi is you'll have the same door-to-door service, but you wouldn't necessarily be incurring an extra charge if you run into major traffic. There can be increased surge pricing with those apps, but that's related to how busy those apps are at the moment, not related to the traffic. So if you happen to be coming or going during rush hour or high traffic time, it can end up saving you a little bit of money to do one of those. So I hope now you have a better idea of what the various transportation options are from LaGuardia Airport. No matter what your priority is, if it's cost, if it's speed, if it's comfort, there is an option that's right for you. So hopefully this helped. Keep an eye out for the videos of transportation options from other airports, JFK and Newark, as well as a lot of other video content we have coming your way. If you haven't already, subscribe to our channel, ring that bell so you get notifications every time we release new content.